at Lotus Sutra Lab. Today we will welcome Dr. Eric Haruki Swanson. Thank you so much for coming today.
Hello.
Amid a very, very busy schedule. So here's the context. So where are we? We are in Tokyo, Suginami. It is the Risha Goseka headquarters facility. I'm a minister of Risha Goseka Buddhist Center, Los Angeles. And Eric is a professor at the Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. So I'm so excited that we are, school and my Buddhist Center not that far. Like 30 minutes when traffic is okay. I mean, traffic is a kind of thing in LA, but so both of us are invited to a so-called International Lotus Sutra seminar, and Eric gave a presentation. I offered a presentation as well, and 8 scholars from many countries came together and talked about the Lotus Sutra based on their own expertise field.
I was very glad to attend this symposium.
Yes.
And one of the really kind of joys of this symposium was being able to connect with you. And you just mentioned that we're relatively close in Los Angeles, and so I was very happy to have this kind of a connection. And so yeah, it was a really wonderful seminar, and then and especially kind of making new connections, and then hopefully working with you in the future. But I did grow up in Japan. I was born in America, but moved to Japan when I was less than a year old, and I grew up in Aichi-ken, and then moved to the United States when I was in high school. Went to university at Indiana University. Moved back to Japan, worked for a few years, got my master's at Koyasan University, and then went to Harvard University for a PhD, and now at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. So very quick overview. Yeah.
Thank you. How many years have you been now, teaching at the LMU?
LMU is 7 years. So
7
I just
years.
finished my 7th year. Yeah.
What do you teach?
So I teach mainly courses on Buddhism, so an overview of all forms of Buddhism. I also have taught comparative mysticism, and I teach a course that I really enjoy called Animated Spirituality, where we think about religion and spirituality through popular cultural productions like anime and manga. So those are kind of the examples of courses that I've taught.
Oh wow! What anime and manga?
What kind? Or?
Yes, if I may ask you.
So this past semester we focused on the films of Miyazaki Hayao, Studio Ghibli, but I usually try to hit a wide range, including films that deal with World War II. In This Corner of the World is a very fantastic film that we watched before. But yeah, a lot of we've watched Jujutsu Kaisen before, so just a really wide range of films.
領域展開
領域展開
domain expansion, like
yes.
こうやってやるやつ it's like a Mikkyo connection or something?
Mikkyo
or?
connection, yeah. So we talk a little bit about Mikkyo connection, but also trying to situate it within kind of the interest in the supernatural in Japan in kind of post-war era, and then kind of seeing Jujutsu Kaisen as almost kind of a revival of interest in kind of the supernatural.
I see, but at the same time, Jujutsu Kaisen great is that the Muryokusho, the infinite void, is often translated, and is actually I should clearly know that the Buddhist emptiness field as well.
There's a really great kind of concept that we use called Shukyo Asobi. So Jolyon Thomas wrote a book called Drawing on Tradition, and one of the concepts he uses is Shukyo Asobi, which is playful religion. And he really emphasizes that when we're interpreting popular culture, it's really important to recognize the playfulness of the kind of religious teachings and images that we see on the screen. So I think with Muryokusho or Gojo Satoru as kind of being this almost Buddha-like figure,
right?
There's a moment where he says, Yuiga Doksan.
Yes.
Right. So there's kind of references to Buddhism, but I think it's done in a very kind of playful way. So it's kind of like an interesting entry point into thinking about these concepts of emptiness and what it means to attain enlightenment, but really interpreted in very a playful manner, right? What does it mean for a kind of a Buddha-like figure to now use that in combat with with another spirit, right?
Right.
So these are kind of ideas that we kind of explore. But
It's perhaps helping so many students who take your class to find a new way of relating to their own religious or spiritual tradition, which they may or may not like, perhaps. And this is how now I can relate to my own tradition or other people's tradition who are important to my life, but in a new way, rather than restricted or limited or particularly.
Yeah, no, I think that's really kind of how I frame this course specifically, where I share that I'm a scholar of Buddhism, and oftentimes I'm asked, are you a Buddhist, and what does Buddhism mean for your life? And usually my response is, I consider myself a Buddhist because it's informed the way that I understand my relationship with other people and with the world, right? But then in this animated spirituality class, I also emphasize that there's a lot of popular culture that I've watched throughout the years that also have informed the way that I understand my place in the world, right? So in a sense, you can kind of conflate, not necessarily conflate, but see a lot of connections between the way that we internalize kind of religious meaning through scripture, but also kind of open up the possibility to think about kind of the potential impact that that literature or popular culture might have on our world, right? Which can be, if I can be as bold, as meaningful as reading kind of the Lotus Sutra too. So.
Right. I see. Yeah, I'm very grateful that I was able to meet with you as well. And thank you sponsoring Richard Kosekai for this conference. So the paper, I really enjoyed your paper. So we had a paper presentation. People read everybody's paper in advance, and then you give a summary of the points, or add some comments on your own, and then we will have a 80-minute discussion altogether, right? Was there any new a discovery that emerged out of the conversation you had so far?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the format of the symposium, and as you say, it's there was a lot of very intentional emphasis on dialogue, and instead of having kind of a rigid presentations followed by kind of almost performative Q&A, right? There was kind of a more invitation to be in dialogue with each other, and under this kind of shared theme of the Lotus Sutra, right? And my approach was to focus on a figure named Jien, which is a Tendai priest from the 13th century. But I think before I kind of get into my own kind of approach, I think just looking around the room and thinking about the last few days, we had people working from the perspective of Shin Pure Land Buddhism. We had another person thinking about esoteric hermeneutics. There was kind of a more kind of modern religious movements in South Korea, right? So it was really interesting to see all of the different perspectives, and what we all had very different topics, different time periods, different denominations and schools, but we all had this kind of shared interest in the Lotus Sutra, right? And so kind of preparing for my paper, it was the first time kind of attending this. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, right? But I did know that this was a Lotus Sutra seminar. So I've been working on Jien, and he's a Tendai Tiantai priest. So the Lotus Sutra is of course very important, right?
Yes.
But really kind of centering what the Lotus Sutra meant in the way that Jien is kind of reconceptualizing a very important historical figure, Prince Shotoku, in kind of a liturgical context, was kind of one of the projects that I wanted to bring into this space. And I think listening, it's the process of talking about this figure with a focus on the Lotus Sutra, but also spending the last few days hearing about the various ways that we can talk about the Lotus Sutra, I thought was really informative in the way that I was kind of now reflecting on the importance of the lotus for this figure in the 13th century.
Is there any new discovery that helps you to further understand that project that you were working on through participating in this conference?
Yeah. So I think, let's see, new discoveries. I think that in preparation, I was really emphasizing on this kind of question of the concept of time and this concept of the past, present, and future.
Yes.
And the if I can spend a little bit of time going into the kind of the text, it's a rather short liturgical text, but it's very structured in a very clear, what is the past, what is the present, what is the future, only to suggest that these three kind of divisions of time can be transcended or is transcended through this figure. And I think this kind of tension between identifying, past, present, and future, but also this kind of sense of the Buddhist perspective of going beyond that, right? The limitless lifetime of the Buddha, for example, was a really kind of important, I think, aspect of the Lotus Sutra that Jian is kind of bringing into the way that he's thinking about this text and the chanting of this. And I think one of the discoveries was kind of confirming that this was actually a really important concept in different moments in history, right? Seeing it kind of identified in kind of the conversations that we've had in the last few days. So it was clearly important for Jian, but I think there's something about kind of these themes in the Lotus Sutra. And kind of this emphasis on skillful means, what is time and what does it mean to engage in the world in this kind of radically different understanding of time, kind of is expressed in very kind of different ways depending on kind of the social context in which people are kind of working in, right? So that was really, and I think that there was something about the structure of the seminar that really kind of allowed those conversations to come out. So, yeah.
So Jim was, what was the year he was born and passed away?
1155 and then 1225.
If he was alive today in LA, let's say, Los Angeles, what kind of action in like an interpersonal level, everyday life level, maybe institutional, some kind of social action, would you imagine, or what kind of inspiration we can, learn from and borrow and potentially embody in today's world in LA or anywhere in the world? Is there any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no. So Jian's an interesting figure because he's very engaged in kind of the politics at the time too, right? So it's kind of hard to kind of imagine him and what he would do. It's just, he would. I mean, if we kind of share that kind of aspect, he would be, connected to the highest echelons of society, whatever that means today, and then thinking about the use of religion. So, so he's a very kind of complicated figure in that sense. But I think that maybe what can we learn from reading a text like the one that I was working on. Which was the exaltations of Prince Shotoku, and this kind of emphasis on kind of recognizing the different divisions of time, but going beyond it. I think what he was trying to do is to really think about kind of the inclusive aspect of practice. And he was looking at Shitennoji Temple, which is a very specific temple in Osaka. But I think there's parts of this kind of liturgical text where he talks about if you want to kind of grasp or kind of have a kind of intuitive sense of what is compassion in the world, especially in light of this recognition that the world is kind of falling apart. He was very attentive to this idea of the social disorder, right? And then trying to think about what kind of spaces do I need to create in order to address that, right? And I think one of the answers that he is trying to propose in the language that he's using is that yes, the world is in a sense falling apart right? But can we kind of create spaces that's inclusive and helps people to be more attentive to the kind of radical interdependence and connection that we have with each other. And I think that would maybe, so I'm sure it will be articulated in a very different way, but thinking about the potential application, today, if he was in Los Angeles, then he might create kind of a temple space in Los Angeles and be very creative in thinking about what kind of ceremonies can we, what kind of sounds do we use, what kind of movement do we use, to not think about kind of community conceptually or intellectually, but coming together and then kind of having an embodied sense of what it means to be a part of a community. I think that's probably what he would do, right? Or what one wishes that he would do. So yeah.
I see. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's go to the next video.
Okay.